at sold out MetLife Stadium, where today the 16-0 and playoff bound New York Giants are taking on the 0-16 Dallas Cowboys. Well, the Dallas Cowboys 0-16 because they suck. Welcome to the Gridiron. Anybody out there at all is going to spend a little bit of time with me this evening, I greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much. I got to move the chair because as soon as I start talking, usually my dog wants to get in there. He does this almost every night. There you go. All right, he's in now. Anybody's going to spend any time watching the replay of this, once again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It means the world to me. Thank you. I'm going to try to go about 30 minutes here tonight, shoot my mouth off for about 30 minutes. Anybody got anything to say, please feel free, fire away, throw in the chat box. I usually try to check on the chat box like every 5 or 10 minutes or so. So if something gets put in there, as soon as I see it, I try to respond to it as fast as I can. Plus, so please feel free, fire away. Plus, instead of me just rambling on for 30, 40 minutes, whatever, it's nice to talk to somebody, another Giant fan. So please feel free, fire away. Before we get started, if anybody wants to help support my channel out, it would mean the absolute world to me. In the description box below, there's a top link. It takes you to my membership page. I got 3 different membership levels. The first one's called the Saquon. Second one's called the Lawrence Taylor. And the third membership level is called the Gridiron. Each one's got their own little perks to them. So if anybody wants to help support my channel out, it would mean the absolute world to me. And I thank you in advance. And if you are subscribed to my channel, thank you. If you're not, please go down below, hit the subscribe button and the bell icon. That way, next time I go live or put a video out, you'll be notified, and it's free of charge. What do you got to lose, right? But if you are subscribed to my channel, thank you. I can use all the support I can get, guys. And then finally, also in the description box below, there are 2 Facebook links. The top one, takes you to my Facebook group, okay? It's called the New York Giants of Gridiron. It's a group. What are we up to here? We're up to 3,300 members. We just eclipsed 3,300 members like, it was either yesterday or the day before. Maybe it was 2 days ago. It's doing really, really well. Okay. I try to get it's 7 days a week, right? I'm almost 365. Usually, as soon as I get done here with the video, okay, or going live here, usually what I'll wind up doing is I'll put a bunch of stuff, okay, in the group. Okay. As I said, I try to get up to like 10 things a day in there if I can, if possible. Sometimes in the off season, it's a little difficult, to get a bunch of stuff in there. But I try to get, whether it's a post, a picture, a video, something making fun of the Cowboys or the Eagles. That's my personal favorites. Okay. I try to get at least 10 things in there. And also, not only do I put stuff in there, but the members put stuff in there. So if you become a member, you can post stuff in there as well too. Right. And then the second Facebook link, takes you to my page. It's called the New York Giants of Gridiron, but it's a page. And I say this like in every video. Pretty much everything, my Facebook group, my Facebook page, and YouTube channel. It's all called the New York Giants of Gridiron. That way a moron like me, I can remember. What's my page called? The group, what's the group called? Something different than the YouTube channel. It's all called the same thing. That way I can remember. Okay. Now I'm the I'm the administrator. Okay. In the page. So I'm the only one to post anything in here. Okay. But it's the same thing. I try to get 10 things or so a day if I can in here. Okay. It's the same thing. I try to, get as much stuff as I can in there, every day. It's pretty much 7 days a week. Obviously it's not a job. If you enjoy what you're doing, it is not a job, but it does take time. Usually I'm spending like a couple hours a week, a couple hours a day, putting stuff in there. Okay. And, I obviously love the heck out of it. Okay. But, I don't commingle with stuff either. So whatever I put in a page, I don't put in a group. Whatever I put in a group, I don't put in a page for the most part. Okay. So it's totally different stuff. Okay. So if you go to the the page and you like it and you follow it, and you go to the group and you become a member, between the two, there's a ton of New York Giants information every day. Okay, every day. And like I say all the time, okay, if you go to the group and you become a member, and you go to the page and you like it and follow, between the two, if you're not 100% satisfied, you get your money back guaranteed. What's up, Terrence? Yeah. Well, yeah, yeah, man, that's whew. Where is it at here? No, that's not it. Is that it? Yep, yeah. Yeah, it says spokeswoman for the Browns family said he died peacefully in his Los Angeles home on Thursday night with his wife, Monique, by his side. Yeah, he might have died peacefully, but he was anything but that on the football field. I can assure you. Says, I mean, he was so much. He was so much. I mean, to the world, he was an activist, an actor, a football star. Monique Brown wrote in an Instagram post, "To our family, he was a loving husband, father, and grandfather. Our hearts are broken." One of pro football's first superstars. Absolutely. Brown was a wrecking ball while leading the league in rushing for 8 out of his 9 seasons with the Cleveland Browns. He never missed a game in 9 seasons. I think he missed half a game one time. I know he got thrown out of his final game. I don't think that's the game they're talking about. His final game, then he retired after the 65 season. His final game of his career was the 65 championship game. They lost. They played Green Bay. They lost 23-12 in Green Bay. It wasn't Lambeau Field. It was Citi Field. It wasn't Lambeau Field, I don't think it was. But that was his final game. His final regular season game was against the St. Louis Cardinals. They won that 27-24. He was throwing him and a defensive lineman for the Cardinals were throwing punches at each other, and they got thrown out of the game. So basically, his final game, regular season game, he got thrown out in. I don't think that's what I think. I think somewhere along the line in one of the 9 seasons, he missed half a game, I guess, for an injury. But I mean, he never missed a game. Played in 118 straight games. Okay. Before his sudden retirement in 1965, after he was named the most valuable player. Okay, Brown led the Browns to the last championship in 1964. 1964, they beat the Baltimore Colts. I think it was 27-0, if I'm not mistaken. The game was played in Cleveland. I think it was 0-0 at halftime, and the Browns just erupted in the second half and scored. Let's see, he quit in his prime at age 30 to make movies. He appeared in more than 30 films, including Any Given Sunday and The Dirty Dozen. It was just truly an absolutely amazing human being. I mean, he was, he went to the Pro Bowl every year. He was drafted in number 6 overall out of Syracuse. In 1957, the Browns got him the 6th pick overall. So from 1957 to 1965, he never missed a game. He was in 9 seasons. He played in 9 Pro Bowls. He was an All-Pro 8 out of the 9 seasons. The only year he wasn't a Pro Bowler, was in 1962. I guess basically they gave it to Jim Taylor, who won the rushing title that year. Jim Brown in 1962, it says here, he only had 996 yards rushing. Okay, so he was I don't know if he was second or third in the league, whatever it was. But Jim Taylor of the Green Bay Packers from 1962, he was probably the All-Pro that year as far as running backs. Okay, but other than that, Jim Taylor every year was an All-Pro and a Pro Bowler. I mean, just phenomenal. And as I said, he led the league in rushing every year, but 1962 also the Green Bay Packers were 13-1. A lot of historians seem to think that they were the best football team of all time, even better than the 17 Miami Dolphins. I have to kind of tend to agree with the historians. I think the Green Bay Packers in 1962 were the best team of all time. But I mean, he ran for what was it? Out of his 9 seasons, 7 seasons, he had over 1,000 yards rushing. I mean, I mean, when he started playing in 1957, 57, 58, 59, 60, his first 4 seasons, they only played 12 games. Like nowadays, they play like 800 games. Well, back then they played 12. Okay. So he retired with 12,312 yards rushing. Okay. But I mean, if he played as many games as they do nowadays, I mean, he would probably have well over 14,000 yards rushing. Okay. And it was also back then when it wasn't really a passing league. Okay. It was, a running league. I mean, a lot of it was he had I mean, he was the man, So it was designed, they designed their offense around him. The other team's defense was designed to stop him. Okay. Now, if you want to go, have it correspond with the Giants, a lot of what the Giants did was their defensive coordinator, Tom Landry, okay, maybe it wasn't so much designed for Jim Brown's per se, but I mean, the way his defense was designed, Tom Landry, who became the head football coach of the Dallas Cowboys for, I think, 28 or 29 seasons, right? He was the Giants defensive coordinator. Well, he had the 4-3 defense. He kind of like invented the 4-3 defense. He had it where the Giants' 2 defensive tackles, Dick Modulewski and Rosie Greer, okay, the defensive tackles, and Andy Robustelli and Jim Cabbage were the ends, okay? Those 4 guys, their job, okay, was to occupy the offensive lineman, okay, to keep the middle linebacker, Sam Huff, number 70, free to roam around, okay? So Sam Huff was he was the one in charge of running down after Jim Brown quite a bit because they tried to keep him free, okay? So most of the time they did a decent job. A couple of games they really shut him down good, which I'm going to go over in a moment here. But I mean, for the most part, he had his games. I mean, the Giants sometimes would shut him down but he might get a 60-yard touchdown run, so he might want it with 90 to 100 yards rushing, but 60 of it came in one play. But the other rest of the game, they kind of shut him down. I mean, they did a very, very good job of shutting him down. But in 1957, as I said, his rookie season, he had 942 yards on 202 carries. Okay, he averaged 4.7 yards a carry. That year they went to the championship. Okay, the Browns went to the championship in 1957. They got killed by the Lions in 1957, which happened to be the last year that the Lions ever won the championship. 1957. 1958 was one of the more exciting seasons in the history of professional football, which obviously it's a long time ago. Not many people either care about or know about or whatever. But in the 1958 season, wound up being a playoff between the Giants and the Browns to see who went to the championship game. Okay, and not only that, but the championship game itself was one of the most important, one of the most famous championship games of all time. Okay, the Giants and the Browns, in the final game of the season, the Browns came to Yankee Stadium to play the Giants. The Giants were 8-3. I believe it was. Let me check. I don't want to screw this up here. The Giants were 8-3, right? Yep. Okay, and the Browns were 9-2. All right. So basically, if the Browns tied, or won, the Browns would have won the division, gone to the championship game. They would have played the Baltimore Colts in the 1958 championship game. The game was tied at like 10-10. All right, and the Giants had to win. Couldn't settle for tie. They had to win. So with about 2 minutes to go or so, somewhere around there, it was the final game of the season. Right, there was no grass on the field, and if there wasn't any grass, it was painted on or whatever like that. It was just dirt. Okay, it's not like it is nowadays. They run a play, then the ground crew runs onto the field and resods the field so it looks all nice and pretty. Nobody gets any dirt on there. There's none of that. It wasn't like that back in 58. It was dirt. They played on dirt. It was snowing. Okay. It was dark, cold. So Pat Summerall, the longtime announcer, came on with about 2 minutes to go or so. Came on and kicked a 49-yard field goal. All right. Off the dirt. Right. I think he said I think he even had a hard time seeing the goalposts, and it was So his field goal put the Giants up 13-10. The Browns got the ball back, and they started moving down the field, and their kicker, Lou Groza, missed it was like a 50-something yard field goal. I think he kicked it short, like his time expired or right at the end there. So the Giants won the final game of the season. So the Giants were 9-3. The Browns were 9-3. So according to the rules, see, the way the rules are nowadays, okay, the head-to-head is what's the head-to-head? The Giants in 1958 beat the Browns 2 times. Okay, so the Giants had the head-to-head. So the Giants should have been declared the winner, but that's not the way the rules were back then. The rules were if they finish in a tie, there's a playoff game. So it was a playoff game. So for the second consecutive week, the Giants and the Browns played each other. This time it was a playoff game to see who would go to the championship game. So once again, the following week on December 21st, the Browns came to play the Giants, okay, in Yankee Stadium. The Giants won 10-0. Okay, so the Giants, they won 10, but they had the better record. They wound up 10-3. The Browns wound up 9-4. So the Giants won the division and went to the championship game. But one of the things that they did do, okay, is that in that playoff game, is they held Jim Brown up. Was it 0 yards? I got to check here. He had 7 carries for 8 yards. They held him to 8 yards rushing. 7 carries for 8 yards. He had a rush of 20 yards, but it was quite a few plays that they tackled him for a loss. So he lost a bunch of yards. So, I mean, the Giants defense, I mean, you hold Jim Brown to 8 yards rushing, okay, in a very, very meaningful game, okay, you accomplish something big time. All right. So, I mean, to hold them to that, it was absolutely phenomenal. So the Giants won a division in 1958. So, I mean, there was the playoff game. There was the field goal that Pat Summerall had to do at the final game of the season in the snow, 49 yards away, just to get the Giants to the playoff game. Then there was the playoff game. The Giants won 10-0. Then they went to the championship game, the Giants, and then they lost 23-17 in overtime to the Colts, which was a huge, huge game because it was televised nationally. That was a huge game. Then the following season, 1959, okay, the Giants won again. Okay, they won the division once again. Okay, but once again, Jim Brown had another phenomenal season. He ran the ball 290 times for 1,329 yards. He had 14 rushing touchdowns in 1958. Okay, in 12 games, he had 17 rushing touchdowns in 12 games. He averaged almost like 1.5 touchdowns, rushing touchdowns a game. I mean, just absolutely phenomenal. Okay, so in 1959, he had over 1,300 yards rushing. He had 14 rushing touchdowns. I mean, but the Giants, 1959, the Giants won the division. Once again, they went to the championship game. They lost to the Baltimore Colts in Baltimore, 31-16. 1960, okay, Jim Brown once again led the league in rushing. He had 215 carries. Okay, he averaged 5.8 yards per carry. He had 9 rushing touchdowns. He had 1,257 rushing yards. Okay, just absolutely phenomenal. Almost 6 yards a carry he averaged. 1960, okay, the Philadelphia Eagles won the division. They were kind of like a flash in the pan. They had the one good season, and then of course they weren't good in the 50s. They went to the championship game in 1960, and after that they had one really good season. Okay. So the Eagles won the championship in 1960. 1961, Jim Brown ran the ball 305 times for over 1,400 yards. He had 8 rushing touchdowns. He averaged 100 yards rushing per game. Okay, just phenomenal. Once again, 1961. Okay, the Giants won the division. Okay, the Giants went to the championship game. They lost 37-0 to the Packers. 1962. That was the only year that Jim Brown did not win the rushing title. Okay. He had 230 rushes for 996 yards, but he had 13 rushing touchdowns. Phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. But once again, 1962, the Giants won the division once again. They went to the championship game. They lost 16-7 to the Green Bay Packers. Right? 1963, Jim Brown ran the ball 291 times for then, and it took a while for this record to be broken. Okay, 1,863 yards rushing. Okay, it was broken. by O.J. Simpson, who ran, was it 73? I think 19. I think it was like 10 years later. O.J. Simpson in a 14-game schedule ran for over 2,000 yards. Okay, the juice, right? But in 1963, Jim Brown ran for 1,863 yards. Phenomenal. He averaged 133 yards a game rushing the ball. Unbelievable at age 27. Still had not missed a game rushing. Right. Just absolutely phenomenal. Once again, 1963, the Giants won the division. Okay. They went to the championship game. They lost 14-10 to the Chicago Bears at Wrigley Field. Then 1960, after 1963, that's when the Giants went downhill. They started trading away guys. They didn't do a good job drafting guys. Their coach at the time, Ali Sherman, wanted to get younger because they had a lot of older veterans there who started retiring and everything. So he started trading. Some guys retired. Some guys just traded some guys away. And we did not replace them with good quality people. So for the longest time, the Giants stunk. Okay, so 1964, the Giants stunk. 1964, the Giants were 2-10-2. Okay, but the Cleveland Browns won a division. Okay, they went. This was the only time the Cleveland Browns with Jim Brown. Okay, they went to the championship game 3 times with Jim Brown. This is the only year, 1964, where the Cleveland Browns actually won the championship game. They were 10-3-1. Okay, they went to the championship game. I believe it was 27. Let me check this out. 27-0. They beat the Colts. Yeah, they beat the Colts 27-0. But that was the only season, 1964, with Jim Brown, that they actually won the championship, the Cleveland Browns. 1965, his final season, he was 29 years old. Once again, he was an all-pro. Okay, he was a Pro Bowler, right? Once again, right? Age 29, he led the league in rushing, 289 carries. Once again, didn't miss a game. 1,544 yards. He had 17 rushing touchdowns in his final season at age 29, and he retired after that. All right. He averaged 110 yards a game. Okay. Once again, the Cleveland Browns won the division. Okay. The Giants in 1965 were 7-7. Okay. Not too bad, but they were not a very good team. The Cleveland Browns won the division in 1965. Okay. And they went to the championship game where they played the Green Bay Packers, okay, and the Green Bay Packers wound up winning that one 23-12. So that was the final game in the history of great Jim Brown. But he went out on top. I mean, you got to remember, things were different back then. I mean, you hear that saying, but things were different back then. I mean, the way they treat injuries, the things that they know about injuries and all, it was just totally, totally different. And he went out, kind of like, he still had, he still had a long life in front of him. I guess he didn't want to be worn down where he couldn't walk or anything like that. He went out on his own terms. He was the sheriff. He walked off into the sunset. He got on his horse and he just went off into the sunset. And he made a heck of a career for himself. I said he was an activist. I mean, there was nothing in the black community that he could not do. I mean, he had power. I mean, he would go into where gangs were at and all, and he could get things done because he was Jim Brown. Not many other people could do that. He could do that. He was that influential. He was, as I said, I'm not saying he was the greatest actor of all time, but he was in a lot of movies, right? He was a good man, good human, and he had a good heart, real good heart, actor, yeah. He was active, but he was an activist. He was an actor. He did a lot. I mean, he just didn't whittle away into nothing. He didn't waste his money and just go party and stuff like that and all. He did a lot. Especially for the black community, he did a lot. And as I said, he did his presence. He could just walk in. When you have somebody that's that important. They can just walk into a room and it's like, people's like, holy shit, that's Jim Brown. That was him. Yeah. Oh yeah. Very smart. I mean, I can't say I know everything about him and all, but I mean, he was very, very, very good at speaking. he would speak slowly, intelligently, with power, meaning, and all that and everything. He always had, you can always see he was always thinking out his words, and he's very, 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 he's a good human being. He was very influential. He was very pro-black, very influential for the blacks, but what he did was good for all of mankind. He didn't bring anybody down or nothing like that. He did what was best for everybody. And I said, it was just, some people, there's not many people ever born, all right, like Muhammad Ali, certain people, they can just walk into a room and just grasp everybody's attention and can, get something done by just talking. And that would be him. He was just, and I said, to me, he's the greatest running back of all time. He wasn't the greatest blocker. I mean, you hear things once in a while, you hear him talking or whatever, maybe in a video, he probably could have done better blocking. He may not have been the greatest receiver in the world and all, but tell you what, when you give him a football, and that's, you got Emmitt Smith. Okay. But, there was Troy Aikman. Okay. He was throwing to, Hall of Fame wide receiver. Okay. His offensive line was unbelievable. They had a great defense. I mean, Jim Brown had a very good offensive line. Didn't have a Hall of Fame quarterback or anything like that. A lot of people, they hand the ball off to him. The other 11 guys in the other defense was specifically designed just to get him. And it was very, very tough. It was truly what it was, he could take the ball on the distance, any play, any play. He wasn't Barry Sanders where he could make 75 guys miss. That wasn't him. But I mean, he had the speed, he had the pay. I mean, just because you got an arm wrapped around doesn't mean you're bringing them down. That don't mean nothing. Sometimes you tackle them, or you get an arm or two arms around them, and you hope for recruitments to come. Come on, guys! I got an arm around him. I got his leg. I need 3 other guys to bring him down. You had to bring him down. And once he got in the open, I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen him caught from behind on any like long touchdown run. Once he got into the open, he was gone. I mean, it wasn't like, like you saw like last year with Saquon, there was a couple times maybe kind of got a little step or a little into the open, or maybe he was caught from behind or like that. And also, I mean, you also got to remember too, it was a different era. The guys weren't, the cornerbacks maybe were not the best athletes on the field like they are now. They don't run 4.3s back then like they did now. So things are different. Okay. But but I mean, he was one who, any given play, he could take it the distance. I mean, he was just that darn good. And the thing I'm most impressed is that he went 9 seasons. He never missed a football game. I mean, unbelievable. How many times? He ran the ball. Say 20. The 23. Okay, so 24. Okay, between his rushes and his receptions, he had like 2,600 touches. 2,600. So basically, he almost touched the ball on average about 300 times a season. And how is it with Saquon? Stepping on somebody's ankle or hurting his shoulder last year, and I mean. So Jim Brown averaged about 300 touches a season for 9 years. Never missed a game. Absolutely freaking unbelievable. 8 out of 9 years, he led the league in rushing. Okay, he went to the Pro Bowl every year, and he was an All-Pro 8 out of 9 seasons, and he left on his terms. I mean, it was a shame because I was born in 64, so when his last season was in 65, so I never got a chance to actually see him play or anything. But you see, there's tons of videos online for him. And now that he passed away, I'm sure there'll be even more videos online, which good, shows him respect, which he certainly should get without question. But he's truly without question. I mean, to me, he's the best running back of all time, hands down. Then I did see this one thing. It's nice to see that John Mara finally getting, because what they do is they had this like a town hall event for all of the the season ticket holders. Okay. So it's an event. It says presented by Verizon, which is an exclusive event for the Giants season ticket holders. In attendance was Mara, General Joe Shane, Dable, Daniel Jones, fellow current players, as well as the members of the 2023 rookie class. So which is cool. It is one event where the fans can openly ask questions directly to Giant players, executives, and members of the media, which is really, really cool. But he was actually cheered, okay, which I know means a lot to him. It says what a difference a year can make. Which I mean, it's really to him, this warms his heart like you can not freaking imagine. It says New York Giants co-owner John Mara was roundly cheered at the team's town hall meeting on Wednesday night at the Beacon Theater in Manhattan. In prior years, Mara was met with mostly boos as the team was going through a spat of miserable seasons. Now, the thing is that, it's not the boos for him that's what bothers him. It's the boos from the people, the fans that pay the money, okay, that buy the tickets, that put their rear ends in the seats, that buy the jerseys. They're booing because they're upset. That's what upsets him. I mean, he's getting booed because they're not happy. He wants the fans to be happy. And you'll know, remember, I forgot exactly what it was, but he was one of I was like two people or no, it wasn't two people. It was more than that who spoke out. Like the Giants were talking, like the NFL was talking about like, flexing games and all kinds of stuff. And Mr. Mara was highly against it because he was talking, there has to be somewhere along the line where we actually have to start thinking about our fans, the people that pay money to come. We seem to be forgetting the fans a lot. And it's a shame because, sadly, and, I'm hearing stuff, rumors and stuff, people talking about maybe like making the Super Bowl a pay-per-view event and stuff like that. It's a shame. It's a shame because it's a beautiful sport, the greatest sport, team sport, without question, in existence. Okay. Right. But it's a shame because the more it's about the money, the worse it gets. It really is a shame. And I understand everybody wants to make money and all. I get it. But it really is a shame. The more it's about the money, the worse things. I mean, with flexing games and stuff like that, as I said, I got a little screwed over. I said this one time a while ago. I went to Notre Dame and Texas. I like Notre Dame. My son likes Texas. 2015 and 2016, they played home and home games. Okay. 2015, we went out to Notre Dame and Texas, they played. 2016, the game was scheduled for Saturday night. Well, I guess it was the opening weekend and there was no professional football on. So they flexed the game, or they moved it from Saturday night to Sunday night because I guess there was a couple other games on, and Notre Dame is a huge draw, national television and all. So they moved the game to Sunday, and I didn't find out. My son told me about it like halfway through the week. He's like, "Dad, the game's Sunday?" And I'm like, "No, Dad, no, Jeff. His name's Jeff, just like mine. No, it's Saturday night. It's college football Saturday. Maybe a Thursday night, Friday." He's like, "No, Dad, you check the schedule. They moved it to Sunday." I'm like, "Are you, So not only that, I had to extend our, get a hotel room for another day. Okay, but I had to change our airline ticket, and I didn't insure it, right? So I think I had to change it. So it wound up costing me some extra money just to change it, and it was just, and we rented a car that costed me another day. As I said, it was just, we saw the game, we got through, nobody died, everything, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, it would be just, just think about, the people, how much it costs to go to a game. Sometimes you want to get decent seats to, like on StubHub or something like. What's a hot dog? $10? A bottle of water is what, $10? I mean, was it $15 for a beer? I mean, come on, But I said it's really a shame because the more it's about the money, it just, I don't know, just sours it a little bit for me. But I'm really, really happy for Mr. Mara because, he it just seemed like because he finally let go of the reins, right? He brought in Shane, okay, and then Shane brought in his own coach and all that, and he kind of stepped back, okay. We hired the GM. The GM's going to do all this stuff, okay, and we're going to step back. We're going to take let Shane run the stuff and all that and everything, and things to be working out pretty well. When it was like, kind of his past couple hires didn't seem to work out, with Judge and Shermer and Gettleman and all, getting a lot of boos. I mean, what I'm saying, you figure they let Coughlin go, or he retired, whatever you want to call it. And you had the McAdoo, the first year of McAdoo, we went to the playoffs. But ever since after that, I mean, 2017, that was the year that with Eli, they snapped the streak. So I think you had McAdoo, then you had 2 bad years with Shermer, then you had 2 bad years with Judge, and just the boos, and I mean, he could walk out to the, and he would get booed. As I said, it wasn't so much they were booing him, okay, that really upset him. Well, I'm sure it didn't tickle his fancy, but the Giant fans are not happy. That's what was upsetting him. And for him to get cheered, it just shows to show you that it's really nice, really, really nice, because that just goes to show you how, the fan base is happy. And I get it. I'm pissed. I'd be pissed off too. I mean, those the Judge years and Shermer years, I mean, pissed off too. But it's just nice to see that, we can show some love when when I guess deserved and when necessary, or whatever you want to call it. But I'm very, very happy to hear, because he wants to be successful. I'm sure he wants to make money, but he wants to win Super Bowls, but he also wants his fans to be happy too. And he got that from his father. Okay. Wallington Mara. Okay. That was passed down to him. So he's one of the true, it's a shame. He's getting up there. Well, he's not that old, but but we're lucky. We have a very class act owner, and I'm very, very proud that he is our owner. Not all owners are like that. I mean, I'd much rather have him than Jerry Jones anytime. So, well, guys, it's been 37 minutes. Just wanted to, absolute loss. And it was 87 years old, I think it was, right? Absolute. Makes me also, yeah. I started looking at him like, damn, I'm getting old too. I'm like, yeah, but he's 87, man. But I'll tell you what, an absolute, when you're carving out Mount Rushmore, if you put 4 or 5 faces up there, Jim Brown's up there, or if not, your Mount Rushmore's effed up. Okay, so I just want to do a little tribute to the greatest running back in the history of professional football, Jim Brown. Well, guys, it's been 38 minutes. Terrence, as always, buddy, thank you for the support. Appreciate it. Thank you. Or if anybody else spent any time at all watching me, I greatly appreciate it. Or if anybody spends any time watching a replay this, once again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It means the world to me. And as always, you guys stay safe out there and go Giants. Woo! Oh, yeah.